When President Trump was under investigation, there were Pulitzer-winning stories about what individuals were in which meetings on any given day. The scrutiny was intense for everyone around the president, and one of those individuals joins me now. Rick Gates was an aide for the 2016 Trump campaign. And Rick, you were caught up in the special counsel investigation. In fact, you pleaded guilty in 2018 with Paul Manafort for concealing millions of dollars through offshore accounts and registering as a lobbyist for Ukrainian interests. Now, I don't say that to be adversarial, but to be honest with our audience, but also to highlight the fact that you have experience when it comes to the allegations that Hunter Biden is now being accused of. Do you see similarities and perhaps a lack of scrutiny when it comes to the Hunter Biden allegations?
Alex, thanks. It's good to be with you. I would absolutely say it's the latter. There is no question that while some of the charges are similar, the process by which is used to go after Hunter versus, many of us in the Mueller probe is absolutely diabolical. I mean, at the end of the day, we started with a predetermined conclusion by the special counsel, and then they try to go out and find the facts. And the facts didn't exist because the president did nothing. And they continued to use us to try to attack the president. In this case, the media, Hunter's friends, Joe Biden's friends, they're all protecting him. And at the end of the day, while they were using us to try to attack a president and remove Donald Trump from office, the media and everybody else hid Hunter scandals in order to elect a president. And that's exactly the strategy behind it.
And Rick, I'd be remiss if I didn't say that, of course, special counsel Robert Mueller found that there was no collusion between any of the associates in the Trump campaign and Russia. I mean, all of the indictments that we saw, everything that was really reported for the better part of 4 years, I guess you could say, was things that were unrelated to what special counsel Robert Mueller was investigating to begin with. I think that is very important to point out. And it comes at a time, too, for example, during the same time frame, for example, that Hunter Biden was serving on a Ukrainian board of Burisma. That's something that came up during the impeachment saga, but you were also working with many Ukrainian interests during that very same time. Was it well known that Hunter Biden had this position in Ukraine? Is it something that perhaps people were talking about and asking why he had this position?
Absolutely. They knew he had the position, but frankly, they knew because his father had been the lead negotiator on behalf of the United States government to work on issues pertaining to Ukraine. And one of the biggest ones was Ukraine's request for lethal weapons. They wanted lethal weapons in order to protect themselves against Russians. And they were having difficulty with the Obama administration directly using Joe Biden as a conduit to try to get that information, that issue passed. There was no question that Hunter was given that role to basically sweeten the pot in order to make sure that the Obama administration gave Ukrainians lethal weapons.
And of course, now we're learning that it's not necessarily just Ukraine. We're seeing similar conversations taking place with China. And I think there were other countries that came out back when people were reporting on the Hunter Biden laptop scandal. I believe there were 3 or 4 other countries where Hunter Biden, for example, seemed to be having communications when it came to business dealings. And I think that's something that at least is warranted of an investigation moving forward. But what is it about Ukraine? It's something, for example, that the impeachment saga circled around Ukraine. Hunter Biden seemed to have a favorable relationship with many, I'll call them oligarchs, but more so businessmen in Ukraine. Is Ukraine just ripe for this type of activity?
Well, look, it's strategically placed. It is the bridge between Europe and Russia. So everybody is competing for it. On top of that, they have an abundance of natural resources. It's a big country, both agriculturally and from an energy point of view, natural gas, oil, all those types of resources, they're very important. So everybody is trying to get in there, the Chinese, the Russians, the Americans, the Europeans, in order to look at Ukraine as a strategic state. And absolutely, there are a ton of Americans over there, American companies. And it was no secret when Hunter came over to start working for Burisma. The chairman of Burisma was a member of the political party, the Party of Regions, at the time that we were working for. So we were very aware of what they were doing and what they were trying to use Hunter for at that point.
And of course, Hunter Biden with no energy experience whatsoever being named on that position. And I forgot exactly what it was, but it was something like $50,000 a month, something like that. Some ridiculous payment that let's just say that he wasn't necessarily qualified for if you're looking at his resume. But the Biden team did announce that he was under investigation for tax affairs, is the way that they put it. But then Politico reported just the day after, I believe, that perhaps that investigation was a little bit more broad than they were letting on. Not necessarily saying exactly what, but that there were other avenues that were at least being investigated. Now, I know that a special counsel hasn't been appointed looking into that yet, so there's not as much teeth, but what could that investigation look like?
Absolutely. Certainly, there has been discussion that it's investigating money laundering. And that pertains to a deal that Hunter was involved in with Russia and a Russian oligarch. So that is certainly, being looked at. In addition, there are going to be a host of other affairs. There's still information to come on his foreign bank accounts, both in Latvia and Cyprus, and how he moved money between those entities back on to shore in the United States. So that's going to be another part of it. And then certainly, of course, what the special counsel used and weaponized against all of us in the Trump orbit, and that's FARA. And that's the Foreign Registration Act. And so that is being highly scrutinized. And there's no doubt, given what we know about Hunter's activity, that he's absolutely culpable with FARA right now.
And Rick, before I let you go too, I remember back in, I believe, 2017, when Robert Mueller was first appointed, there were some conservatives that were saying that perhaps this doesn't warrant a special counsel investigation, even that the law itself maybe doesn't warrant a special counsel investigation into President Trump. But looking at the allegations and looking at the history and the precedent, I suppose, that's been set, do you think that the allegations regarding Hunter Biden do warrant a special counsel?
1,000%, no question. The difference is with a special counsel, you have additional powers that a normal U.S. attorney or somebody at the Department of Justice may not have. So by designating it a special counsel status, it is going to get to the bottom of the truth. There's going to be documents that can be declassified. And more importantly, if that special counsel is hired now, it makes it extremely difficult for dear dad, Joe Biden, to fire that individual investigating Hunter Biden. So I think the president is right on point in calling for a special counsel in this situation.
And of course, we did hear that Attorney General Bill Barr did make U.S. Attorney John Durham a special counsel before he submitted his resignation. So that means that he does have that power that you just laid out, whether it be subpoenas, grand juries, anything of that nature. So I know there are a lot of people hoping that we'll get some developments on that front in the near future. But Rick Gates, I can't thank you enough for coming on the program tonight and providing some insight into this issue that's going to be very important over the next couple of weeks. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Alex. Take care.